Welcome back to the NuWu Sessions Podcast, where we invite guests to come by and get high here in Nevada's original cannabis lounge, the Sky High Lounge. Let's check it out. What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the NuWu Sessions Podcast. We are back at it again after a little long of a break, but it's cool. We're back at it. We're excited to be in our new home, the Sky High Lounge, Nevada's original cannabis lounge. The first, not the only anymore. I just want to take a quick second. Everyone who's been watching us and been supporting the channel for so long, please make sure you subscribe, hit that little bell. Shout out all the boys, all the girls who helped make this production in the past, and excited for the future. So right now to that point, I want to introduce my guest here, Mr. Jason Harris of Jerome Baker Designs. How you doing today, brother?
Thanks for having me out today, guys.
Hey, man. We're stoked to have you back. I was telling before the show, Jason was such a pro. He was on episode 5. Those first 7 episodes, I don't even count because, it was rough, dude. And like a pro, we were struggling with garage door issues. There was all this noise pollution. My man was a pro, but been looking forward to a redo for a while, dude. So thanks again for coming on the pod, brother.
Appreciate you having me, man. I really enjoy coming down here. It's got a great vibe. Just really enhanced the whole Las Vegas community with this, with the cannabis and the way that we've progressed and evolved over here. It's been really fun watching it.
Hell yeah, man. And thanks for being a part of it, dude. I mean, Jason's one of our longest partners we've had forever. You guys already know we've got the exclusive on the JBD NuWu collabs. You can get those here in the Sky High Lounge. We've got them for sale in our gift shop, and longtime partners and just still barely scratching the surface. So.
Yeah, it's just in terms of the collab that we've done with you guys, it's pushed us to a different level. Just being able to produce the quantities that you guys demand and the quality that you demand. So we wanted to set ourselves apart over here and offer something cool with the packages that go on and really kind of address the Las Vegas cannabis thing like it should be. And so I felt like this was a great venue to do that in, and what an awesome turn of events that's happened with this great new cannabis lounge that we're in. And it's just great.
Hell yeah.
Cool.
Well, let's get into it, man. So for those who don't know, just a quick list of some of, Jason and Jerome Baker Designs accolades. You've won several High Times Cannabis Cups. Leafly even announced you as one of the top 10 cannabis glassblowers that changed the game. So this man's definitely well-known, well-respected, but I want to take it back before any of that. And I want to talk about a young Jason and how he was introduced to the plant, man. What was your first time smoking weed? What was that like?
Cool. I feel like I grew up in it. I don't know. I always kind of wonder to myself what got me into this and whys. But I do know that as a young kid that I would try to dry out banana peels and smoke them because I heard it might get me high. Or there was lettuce that if you boiled it, you smoked it. And why? I don't know. I was drawn to it in some way. I think that humans evolved maybe in a few different chain cycles, and some people aren't drawn to that at all, and some people are more. And obviously, I'm one of the ones that were drawn to it from an ancestral kind of a way. I grew up around it. My brother was a smuggler my whole life back in the day. My father was with him. They would go down to Jamaica on boats and buy pounds of weed and bring them back to Miami, and that's where I'm born and raised in Miami. And in the 80s, when I was growing up there, we had an airplane with engines on the wings that we can land in the water down the Bahamas. My father had an airplane with an engine on top that we can, go fly around and land in the water. And looking back and, and seeing how we are all set up, my father had a few different car lots. We had trailers. We had tow trucks that were moving across the United States. What I didn't know was that I grew up in a family of smugglers, and I didn't know that when I was doing it. And so as I became, through, getting to be an adult, kind of can look back and say, oh, whoa, this is what's really been going on. So I kind of came up in it, and my first time getting high, I honestly can't remember that, whether it was what it was. But I think that over the course of time, my grandfather helped me, develop, seedlings in the house when my mom was gone, we were growing little plants, and I couldn't have been in 8th grade, Right. It was just part of my upbringing, I feel. And then evolving into what it is today, it became a little more spiritual for me as I got into, high school age and realized, that the plant kind of enhances a reality, or for me, it motivates me.
Okay.
So kind of coming into that and understanding like what my draw to the plant was something. And I think that happened in high school, in my probably my freshman year of high school, just being able to kind of understand, okay, this is what I'm smoking. I need to get good weed and
right.
smoke it a certain way and not be janky about it. But I can remember as a kid going over to my friend's house and, so his dad looking, rolling a joint for us and getting all the seeds out of it, getting them all down to the bottom of the magazine and rolling a nice, pinner.
Yeah, the good old school, right? The
and
OG.
and then sitting there and lighting it up for us and roasting the entire fucking joint in one good hit and just flick it at us. You know what I mean? And that to me was one of the moments of, okay, you know what I mean? There's a hierarchy. There's a culture here. There's more to this. And so, that it's just growing up in it, man. You know what I mean? It's kind of been my sensory projection. I don't know how to really to describe it, but it's been there the whole time.
Cool. Yeah, no, it sounds like something that, it's been with you your whole life, you know what I mean? Familial and things like that. So did you, when you started using, did you just pretty much immediately start being a regular user? You just, because if it's already around,
right.
Or was that kind of a gradual process?
I can remember even at one point coming home from school with one of my schoolmates and thinking we found some pot plants, and we took that shit and dried it out in the microwave best we could and smoked it all, and later to find out it's like a young maple tree, and we're thinking we're badasses, you know what I mean?
Right on.
I think that it's just embedded in there, and
right.
And so that's kind of where that's at.
Cool, man. Cool. So did you ever have a moment where you found a strain, or there was something that really stood out in those early years, where something that just, again, I'm
1,000%, 1,000%. So as I got through high school, figured my scene out, I still didn't understand terpenes or profiles
right.
or this kind of stuff. What gets you higher, sativa, indica, blah blah blah. And so when I went to Amsterdam, so it was probably 1992 or 92, I think I went over there. And kind of touched it in a way that was like, whoa, okay, the Northern Lights. Okay, and there it is. And I recognize that from fucking Andy Carver selling the packs back in the day, right? Or it might be the haze.
Okay.
It might be some different terpene profiles that turned me on. And then when it really locked and loaded for me was, when I spent lots of years in Amsterdam. So as when I was young and first getting embedded in this kind of culture / industry right. as a glass blower, I'd go over there, post up, blow glass, and I'm meeting Robert Cornell Clark, Jack Harrage, who all the who's who, Adam Dunn, his mom, all the people who had the good strains, the gray area. There's a lot of activity, a lot of aggressive cannabis, big dicking going over
right.
there. And so for me, being over there in the mix was really a turn on, but it was the Katsu coffee shop.
Okay.
And that's the one coffee shop that I would go to that I could have all the different haze varieties mixed. I can have a haze NL, a haze Thai, a haze Afghani, and taste those different profiles. And we didn't call them terpenes back then. We had no fucking clue, but I knew those flavors now.
Right.
And I knew exactly what I'm getting at. And so now when I went back down to Miami and I smoke a Crip, I can kind of feel where that's coming from in those, and these are OG terpene profiles or OG strains or OG phenos that are actually there and probably to this day still at the Katsu coffee shop, and they take pride in that. And that's a haze varieties. And so that's where I started to click out into what do I really enjoy, what really clicks for me, and that was it.
Cool.
Still to this day is.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the power of legalization, it was similar for me once I started working in the industry. We all tasted bomb weed, right? And we all know what we like, what we don't like, but until you have a name, you have a haze, a Northern Lights, an OG, those prominent notes that kind of help you differentiate and find what's right for you, right? So
correct.
Cool, man. Cool.
Correct.
So, how'd you start getting into glass blowing? Because clearly you've always loved the plant, but what kind of made you want to go down that road?
I was always into art, even as in high school. I would just hang out in the art class all the time, and really respect some of those, high-end artists that were there. You could see them. There might be 2 of them in your whole high school.
Right.
And, I'd like to hang out with those guys and kind of get juice from that. I'd like to hang out in museums and look at, Rembrandt or George O'Keeffe or just really cool stuff. And I was at that point in my world, in my later high school years, I was on the East Coast near New York City. So I was able to access, the Smithsonian or the Met or the MoMA or just different places where I can experience this like upper level art that showed me there's a way to get there. I could do that. That's really what I wanted to do. I wanted to be an artist. That's really where I saw myself as a youth. So growing up, I became activated in a process of art called batik. Okay, which is a process of painting wax onto fabric, going through a series of dye baths. Some cracking happens. It looks really fucking cool and trippy. Gotcha. And I could take this shit and put the Grateful Dead on there or put Fish on there and go out on a Grateful Dead tour or Fish tour and make money, come back to school and keep rocking.
Oh, yeah.
At the same time, I was into painting and process art in class, which is intaglio printing, they call it. So it's a carving on plates, putting resists on there, running them through ink, with ink on them through paper and creating printmaking. That's what I was really into. And so, and through the combination of this, I'm on Grateful Dead tour, and all the alpha hippies, all the people with the best weed, were getting this one pipe from this one guy that was on the Grateful Dead tour making it. He had a little bread bus out there that he was in his bus, and he'd go to show to show to show with his torch, and he's making little pipes out there. And the pipe, when you smoked it, seemed to change color the more you used it. It had this magical quality to it that I was like, whoa, this is fucking cool. You know what I mean? Everybody had to have that fucking pipe. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so I found the guy out there on the lot one time, and I got a pipe from him, and it said love across the front of it. L-O-V-E,
Right.
And it had all these little skulls and all these words, unite and stuff in there. And I didn't see that shit until you smoke more out of it. And you see the skull kind of come out. And you're taking this thing like to the breakfast table and looking at it while you're eating, just reading into this thing. And it was kind of in my soul at that point. So this guy, his name's Bob Snodgrass. He's like an old wizard, big beard, fun dude to hang around and be around. So anyway, Grateful Dead tour happens. I'm doing my batik artwork, and I'm in college, and so I end up in the University of Oregon. And when I did, I remembered that old man, Bob Snodgrass, lived out there in Eugene. So I looked him up in the white pages. I got down Snodgrass, and I found him. I called him up, and he said, yeah, come over, man, whatever. I came over to his house, and his house was just outside of town. It was a little trailer. It smelled like a farm, It had a donkey next door. His wife actually killed a rabbit that day and made us stew. It was the first time I was over there, and I'm from the East Coast. I see this guy's got the hay in his mouth, he's fucking the Oregon boy. Right. And he's blowing glass pipes with his kid in the back of this trailer that they lived in. And I became enamored that night with him. And in his little living room, there might be 10 people in there with dreadlocks. It smelled like patchouli and body odor and fucking good weed. You know what I mean? Right. And for me, that was the best chronic weed I've ever seen. And fucking, you know what I mean? I was like, I want to be around these people. So going back over to the college and making my printmaking shit, I'm thinking, well, how can I, learn glass blowing and incorporate it into this art major that I'm in? And I was at that time an art major at the University of Oregon. And so I went over and asked him to show me how to work on glass. Luckily, at that point, I was number 7 in his lineage of teaching people. Oh, there was a couple of other people in his studio, and it was a respect thing. It's like if I could make anything, those other guys would get a hold of it right in front of us all and try to peel it apart. Literally, like grab it with their fingers and try to pull the marble off the fucking thing in front of people to make you embarrassed. Wow. This is the kind of upbringing it was. It was like hardcore, and there was no internet then, so there wasn't a place that we can go and be like, hey, how do you do a swirly or whatever it was. There was one book out of Denver that we all had access to. There was one little ass torch that we all knew about, and no internet. And at that point in my world, I was like, man, I want to go figure this shit out. So I flew to Germany, and I went to the factory that makes the actual raw materials, because that's what the town I saw on the side of the box. Mainz, Germany. Well, that must be where the fucking glass is coming from. I'm going to go over there and check it out. So I went over there and spent a couple weeks. I ended up in Italy for a few weeks, and then back to what we call the Pilchuck Glass School. That's in Washington State. And it is Mecca for all of us glass artists. Once a summer, there's 100 masters that come in through the course of a few weeks from all over the world and teach their way of being a human and glass blower and whatever other thing they do. And there's a few different mediums in glass up there, from casting to flame working to fusing and blah, blah, blah. So this is kind of my path and how I got to where I am today. I fell into it through an artistic kind of like love of being and creating and seeing a bigger world. And then I found this one guy who taught me the thing. And when I learned from him in that time, in those few beginning years, it would be like if I was a painter and I was hanging out with Picasso and Monet and all the other ones were around, and we knew that this was something huge going on right here. It'd be like seeing Fish back in 91 or even let's say 89. You know what I mean? You're like there and you're seeing the thing and you're like, whoa, okay, there's definitely something here and this shit's going to blow. And so we knew that as pipe makers. At one point in those early years, I was being flown back to New York, and the big boys back there, the Diesel crew, they'd show me the big fucking pillows in the cases and all this shit, and the green pillows from Mexico. That was all, that was the shit. And they would spend a lot of money. They were paying me $10 a gram for my pipes. They would put them on the scales. And we would clear up. I'd go right back to Eugene on the plane, and try to make bigger pipes. And we only had one little shitty torch that anybody knew about. Again, no internet. This is pre-96. So that was the come up. It was being around them, right time, right place, and being able to kind of find a way to express myself in art, and being able to, because selling boutiques, I was making whatever, a t-shirt, but I was able to make art and translate it into cash. I've always believed 99% of being a good artist is being a good salesperson. You got to get rid of it so you can make more shit, to make your palette of colors bigger. It all costs money. So that was my driving force, is like, whoa, I can make the pipe. And then this also taught me a lot about like just being centered and being able to like learn about yourself and being able to take pride in something that you've done. Like a contractor, I just built this killer house. Look at it. Big, great, good on me. So for me, the pipe was my ability to kind of like be like, hey, this is what this is what I've done, and this is what I'm proud of, and I did that. You know what I mean? Hell yeah. So that was my way of expression, and then that was the propellant that came.
Man, that's a beautiful story. Thank you for sharing. That's really cool, man. That's and inspiring too. I mean, as an artist and as just a creative in general, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head. You got to sell yourself, you know what I mean? If you don't believe in yourself, who's going to? So, going out there, getting it done, creating more so that you can get better and just grow accordingly, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You really, when you're walking through life, you kind of want to look around and say, hey, what are we doing? Okay, number one. And am I going to walk like this or am I going to walk like this?
Yeah.
Okay, and who do you look up to? Whoever it might be, Elvis, I don't care. Why do they do the way? You live like a rock star. Stand up tall, hold your chin up. People want to be like you then. You sell yourself. So that's part of all this whole thing is just being projective and being positive, being able to pivot through things, being able to handle the way. Fuck, dude, an artist? Right. Are you fucking kidding me? It's all critique.
Yeah.
Oh, the moon, that's so fucking cool, that piece. Can you make it in pink?
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah, Fuck you, man. So being able to deal with critique in a certain way to not turn the client off either. Yeah. You know what I mean? Great. Fuck yeah, I'll go make it in pink. Give me some fucking money. You know what I mean?
Yeah. 100%.
And so being able to pivot off this stuff and all that stuff, that's all being an artist. And I think that's one of the hardest parts about it. People are cool, I want to go art school and do the thing. Well, great. Like set up your first show. Yeah. You know what I mean? When that happens, sell a piece. You know what I mean? And all this stuff, it becomes like, challenging. Yeah. For me, it's the same thing. It's trying to make something, I'll never be happy with that fucking painting. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
And so everybody else says, yeah, it's done.
There you go. Hell yeah, man. Beautiful message. Appreciate you sharing that. Let's move on to the set where we start smoking some weed. I mean, my boy Jason's been here, like, smoking the whole time. But now we're going to introduce one of our table packages. Cool. We can get some help getting that over here. And real quick, I forgot to plug the drinks at the top. I'm sipping on a beautiful Blue Dream. Tastes like the freaking ocean. And my boy Jason here's got the NuWu Sunrise. Yeah. There's a sunrise and a sunset.
I usually get the sunrise over here. These are great drinks. We brought the family in here a couple weeks ago for Super Bowl. cousins, brothers, mothers, fathers, the whole thing. We had them all around the table, and everybody's ordering drinks. It was a lot of fun, and it's really cool because it's non-alcoholic.
Yep.
You know, we don't got to like wonder when is going to get out of control. So, you know, I mean, we could just keep it flowing, man. 100%. We can double her up.
Absolutely. No, and it's the medium people understand. That's the feedback that I think we've got the most is like, cool, I know what it's like when I go and have a drink or two or something like that. And it's kind of the same equivalent. It's a medium people understand. So,
yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yep.
Thank you, Miss Morgan. Appreciate that.
Right on.
Here we have a few different accessories and items, some smokables. Of course, we have the Jerome Baker bongs that are individually numbered and signed. Of course, and then we have the Dr. Dabber's excesses as well.
Yeah, there's a unique collab you can only get here at NuWu, the gold wrap with the Sky High logo. Gotta love the excesses. Shout out to Dr. Dabber over there too for helping us. Great partners,
Dr. Dabber,
just like Jerome Baker.
Yeah, and you know what? You guys have offered also us a chance to do something like this that's so unique and special on its presentation, on the whole thing. It's so Vegas and it's so evolved from where we started across the street. So wow, how fun.
Thank you so much. Appreciate for being the growth. Thank you, Miss Morgan. Awesome. So we got a couple different options in the flower. We put some 22 red on the table because, you know, it was funny. You were episode 5. I mentioned this earlier. Shavo Odaji, and bass player for System of a Down, he was episode 6. So it was right after your episode. Cool. And right off the jump. We didn't even like talk about that, but he's like, yeah, that's my boy Jason. I've known him forever. Cool. So
Shavo's the best. You know, I've gotten many wonderful years being able to go see those guys.
Hell yeah.
And, you know, man, what a powerhouse, dude. What a powerhouse. Yeah. I got some crazy Shavo stories for someday.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, he's such a great dude. I honestly, for me, like growing up on System of a Down, I was so like nervous doing that episode. But he was like so chill, so easy to work with. You know what I mean? Yeah. Shout out to our boy Shavo. He's rad. We're going to get him back on here
22
for a redo.
red.
So, yeah, man. So how do you want to get started here today?
I'd like to do a bong hit.
Let's do some bong hits and
I can explain
these
to
rigs.
you why I smoke the way I do.
Let's do it.
Okay. Or I can explain to you how I recommend you smoke the Jerome Baker bongs. So first of all, we're going to use this great Jealousy chronic that we're growing up outside of Reno with White Cloud. White Cloud Botanicals has a really high-tech grow, super chronic indoor, and they're able to kind of really work in the plants. So super stoked to work with them and create this unique packaging also. And this was a nitrogen-filled can. So when we pop it out, we can get fresh weed down here in Nevada. And so it's Nevada. And so it's very difficult to keep your weed, you know, soft here is what I've experienced. So I'm going to take the chronic here. And is this a grinder? Or what is
no, I'm sorry. That's some extract.
I'll just hand break it. I don't need a grinder.
There we go.
And I actually don't use grinders myself. It's
really?
just not my thing. I think that they are certain ones at least might destroy the resin or make it almost what I call a tinny taste in my mouth.
Okay.
So if I was to take, for example, tobacco,
right?
Okay, and I take a long cut tobacco and I grind it up to powder and then I roll it up, it's going to taste different than my long cut tobacco.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Especially when you have those metal on metal grinders, I guess, you know.
And so now we have pulverizers. I've found that the Whack It grinder works pretty well.
I got to Whack It at
because
home.
it does not grind, it pulverizes. Yeah. So again, if you go down to a microscopic level and all of a sudden I'm an ant and I'm looking at the plant resin, I'm looking at the resin, I think that the resin will be destroyed in the grinder. Yeah. And I think that that we want to try to keep a nice poofy resin ball.
Right.
Okay. It's like, it'd be to me like a piece of styrofoam that might have gotten a little shriveled from water. Okay. And that might do something like that. This is my theories too. Okay. So this is just the way I taste it. So I pack a little tiny bit of chronic in here. And so number one, we used to smoke a graphics bong. That's what I grew up on in college and stuff. Is a straight tube with it's a acrylic bong with a soup can on the bottom of it.
Okay.
It had a little butterfly metal bowl on the thing, and you'd pack a little bit of weed in there because it was so fucking expensive and rare to get the chronic weed. You don't
Right.
use it all too much.
Yep.
Put a little bit of weed in there, and then you'd roast it and snap it through.
Okay.
Then you would pull the bowl and hit. This is the hit that's going to help you see God. Okay, we're not just smoking. We're actually just launching. Okay,
Okay.
So you know, some people I'll roll up. They'll pack a big old bowl and pass
Right.
it around and stuff. If that's what you get you,
Yeah,
certain
whatever gets
people
you
get
there.
lit from a certain thing. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I don't know. So small amount of weed in there.
There you go. A one and done, huh? The snappers, that's the approach?
Snappers.
Snappers, okay. I've seen some debate online of like the snapper or the bowl pack, but so you heard it here first. Jason's more of the school of the just one snapper, huh?
Snappers.
Snappers.
All day long.
Nice. I'll join you here in a second. I'm going to go ahead and take off the little 22 red roller here. While we start diving back into, I want to get back to like the story here. So we just heard about how you kind of got into glass blowing, but now I want to talk about the early days of Jerome Baker Designs. So how did that start, and how did you decide you wanted to start building that brand?
The early days of Jerome Baker Designs, it's like, for me, it was, I had a torch, I make the pipes, and I figured out that I can take the torch on the road,
Okay.
stick it in a hotel bathroom, and make a bunch of pipes one night and go wherever the fuck I was the next day and sell them for cash. You know, one of my big shticks was, if I had a parking lot full of people at a concert, I can go out there and I have a gun case, okay? It has foam on both sides, so I could put all the little pipes in the foam, I could close the gun case, and I'm rolling. I got my gun case with me, right? Simple. So I'd get out on the parking lot, and I could take one of my pipes, toss it into the air, and let it hit the fucking cement and bounce across the cement. At that point, everybody's looking at me,
Of course, yeah.
okay? And I could pick the thing up and say, it didn't break. See? I get people rolling over and paying cash, and I could stack it up.
There you go.
That's where I started, just figuring out that I can go. I have my little song and dance. I knew my pipe wasn't going to break when it hit the ground,
You had your sales pitch dialed in, right?
and I can make some money. And so over time, that became Grateful Dead, you know, and over when I was selling on the parking lot of Grateful Dead, I met a guy with Light and Stage Design, LSD. And he told me that he would give me a backstage pass every time I gave him a pipe. And I tell this story a lot, and I cannot fucking remember this guy's name, but he did also work with Michael Jackson, I remember. If you're out there, you remember me, dog.
There you go.
But
Tap in the comments, right?
But reality is, he traded me a pipe, and so every night I would just go up there and make a bunch of pipes. I'd run down there in the morning and link up with him, give him my best work from the day before, and I would get that pass. And that pass for me was not only my entrance to the show, but was my opportunity to get front row with nobody between Jerry and I. So it became like my little thing. Like I would have to get down there at some point and hang on as long as I could. And I know how hard it was for me to do all this. There's a lot of work involved in and get the pass and then wait it out and then finally get your spot up there. Not easy. And you got to push and shove. And all the same people were up there every night, whether we're in Tampa, Memphis, Sacramento, Chicago, Cincinnati. You're elbowing the same fucking people up there.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? They have the same addiction I did. Now,
Right.
these are old ladies. These are young kids on this side. I don't know how they're even getting to these different cities,
Right.
And it was that kind of a vibe. And when people ask, well, what was it? What was the Grateful? Why'd you do all this? It would be like if you were religious or spiritual and you go to church and you look around and everybody in the church is, how you've seen those videos where they're all crying and shaking and all the different
Right.
stuff going on. That's what's happening. And then the thing stops. And they're like, okay, see you in Cincinnati tomorrow. And everybody's like, well, fuck, we got to get to fuck to Cincinnati tomorrow. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And that was the vibe. So growing up in that and pushing through that. And then finally at some point, Jerry dies. And this is in, I think, 95. And at that point, I had already started a little business in Humboldt County. I had a little warehouse going. It was called New School Glass. And then when Jerry died, we made a corporation. We called it Jerome Baker, named it after Jerry Garcia, his first name, Jerome, Jerry. where then Baker's is getting baked, and Designs got me a lot of discounts and different leads into different places. So it was Jerome Baker Designs, and I hired a bunch of my friends that were all kind of like, what are we going to do? There's no Grateful Dead tour now. I said, well, fucking, we're in Eugene. You know, I rented a big building. I had I think a 10,000 square foot building on one side, a 15 on the other side. We had 70 employees when it was all up and running. And, you know, doing four plus million a year in sales. This is in around 99 now at that point.
Wow.
So we built quickly. We were the only game in town for a little while. So that led us to, you know, instant stardom with this thing. We had all the different bands that were playing on the road would all stop through Eugene and get pieces. You know, we were getting orders for people, you know, George Clooney, Adam Sandler, Drew Barrymore, you know, all these different people were getting pieces, and it was hot. You know, Luke Walton, when he was in college, they came by the shop. You know, it just goes on and on and on. So it was really fun to be part of all that. And you know, looking back on it, I look back and say, wow, what a fucking time that was. You know,
Yeah,
and even during
absolutely.
that time, I would have meetings with our crew of all the people, and you know, we would do rallies and rah-rah, and this is the thing, we were paying taxes and everything, and that was the big deal, man.
Right.
You know, that was a real big deal for the 90s, is to have a bong manufacturing studio, have the 70 employees and everything legal beagle on the books. It was pretty incredible.
Absolutely. I also like the expression legal beagle. That's pretty cool. I'm going to have to borrow that. That's pretty good. So, all right. So obviously, we built up a brand. It's obviously notable. You guys are, you know, you have a lot of employees. We're turning and burning glass, right? So now we're going to fast forward to 2003, right? So you were arrested in a sting operation known as Operation Pipe Dream, which was specifically targeting businesses selling drug paraphernalia, right?
Correct.
So this operation, which, for note, cost taxpayers over $12 million and the resources over 2,000 law enforcement officers, this operation just turned 21 years old by my records, right?
Yeah.
Because we're in March of 24, so it's now of legal consumption age. Pretty rad. Fun fact. But yeah, so you were arrested in this. This was 2003. I almost said 2023, and it's like, that's the weed's working, clearly. But so you're arrested, man. What was that day like?
So I'm in bed. I hear on the door upstairs.
Never a good sign.
And I'm thinking, who the fuck is that? But I'll back up for a minute here. About a month before all this, I was, you know, doing my shit at one day on the phones. And I had called my bank to get some sort of financial thing done for a piece of equipment I was buying. And so they said, yeah, everything's great. And my banker, who's a friend of mine, says, okay, we can do this, but we have to get this court case thing dealt with you. And I was like, court case thing? And so he says, yeah, like we had some investigators calling up the other day, and he's like, wait a minute. He's like, I'm not supposed to be telling you about this. Let me talk to the boss. And then he calls me back. He's like, listen, I was supposed to tell you about this, but there's something going on. You're being investigated. I'm like, shit. So I call a lawyer and try to do it. And it's like chasing a rabbit down a hole. You don't know who the fuck's investigating you. So later, and I noticed people following me with Nevada plates, you know, just in my world, people going through the garbage that were like not hobos type thing.
Right.
So, and that's looking back. That's in retrospect, bro.
Of course, at the time, you're like, it's a little weird.
For all you to learn from my mistakes.
Yeah.
Okay. So looking back all that, but then the day that it happened, I'm asleep in bed. I hear the pounding on the door upstairs. I go up to answer the door, and there's literally so many people in the front of my house, and the sun was just coming up. And there's so many people in the front of my house that the front cop, his whole body I had glass doors. His whole body's pressed against the door where he's being pushed from behind. Like he can't move no more. And there's so many fucking people out there. They had a half track in my driveway. That's that old MASH fucking unit thing. At the same time they were at my house, they were at all my businesses and my CEO's house. I didn't know it. But when they came in, they started, you know, they made a big table like this in my living room. They had their own table. Chairs, the whole thing. They took their jackets off. There was DEA, ATF, Secret Service, and Postal Service at my house.
Wow.
Everybody's sitting around, you know, it was like, you know, hours. The first moment was me getting hogtied, hands behind my back to my legs, And I'm out of bed, man, fresh out of bed. It couldn't have been 6 in the morning.
This. Yeah,
and my dogs, they're threatening to shoot the dogs, this kind of thing.
Jesus.
So after a while, I'm laying there on my floor. I'm looking, and I had a house on top of the hill looking down at I-5, the main highway going through Oregon there. And I saw all the cars were still driving and stuff. And I'm thinking, the world's still going. You know, that was the thought going through my head. The world is still going, you know what I mean? But it seemed for me like a dead stop. It was really fucking weird. And so, they get me all sat down after a few hours. Now it's getting a little more like personal. Like I might know a couple first name. You know, what I mean, they're trying to be my friend and shit, but they're raiding my house.
Yeah, they're hitting you with the good cop.
Okay, motherfucker.
Yeah.
And so they wanted to know. They said, tell us about this paraphernalia. This is at my house, and I said, this is artwork, bro. They're holding a piece that had all these beautiful horses on it and shit sculpted, and I'm like, this is a fucking piece of art. I didn't really know the veracity of it, And so at the end of it all, sure, I'm in the cop car, back to the jail cell, Eugene jail, and I'm in the cell. There was a couple other people in there, it smelled like piss. It's fucking blue. It's like now I'm in the fucking system. Like, it's like back in fucking the cafeteria at school kind of vibe. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck? And so I'm looking at the TV. It's behind chicken wire because you can't touch it. They don't want you fucking. And and on the TV comes John Ashcroft, and he's behind the podium, and he's at the fucking White House, and it's like a breaking news shit. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, we got him. We got 55 of the most notorious paraphernalia dealers today, and they sold pipes that look like this. And he's holding up a lipstick thing. It looks like a lipstick container, but it's a pipe.
Right.
And he's like, they're trying to trick. This is what his vibe was. They're trying to trick us. And later on, he went on to go bust all that slap 'em up porn. That was the next thing. They also put the blanket on the lady of justice at the Justice Department during that time because they didn't want to show her tits.
Wow.
So you're talking like real ultra conservative right wing nuts. Okay. And the what's and the whys of it, I'm sure there's more to it.
Right.
Okay. And the more to it that I discovered later on was somebody sent a bong to one of these governor's kids. They got the fucking credit card, charged it. He got away with it. He has the bong. Well, how'd you get it? I got it from the website. So the governor says, hey, go get him. Sting him out.
Right.
That was the beginning of all this money spending in this time. So, that's how I felt that morning. That's what happened to me that day. I was arrested. I was in the federal system. I had to deal with it for many years. A lot of bad happened with it, but more good has come out of it, just in terms of where I'm at today. Of course, I could have more money if I didn't get arrested then. But now it's kind of like, it's like, who's really in this fucking thing? I was at the first Champ show. And I had 8 booths at the first Champ show, and I closed them all off so nobody could see my shit unless you were a customer, because I didn't want them other motherfuckers taking my fucking ideas.
Of course, right.
So, it's come a long way. There's not a lot of the same people out here on this fucking street. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so I always tell everybody, hey, whoever's still out here, if I'm out there for 30 years, I'm doing something good. I'm passionate about it. I'm not ripping everybody off. I'm trying to give my soul to the fucking cannabis. And why, I have no clue. Right. I'm having fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's all that matters.
I like making art.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
So that's kind of the juice there. I think that what we all need to understand, right here we have a media voice. You have a voice out there. You guys have a lot of great fans, a lot of great listeners that watch this program. I saw you guys had tons of people watching the last interview that we did, and you've done so many cool ones down here. And this Sky Lounge and NuWu's have given us the ability to buy these killer lights and have all this crew and be able to slap it and make it real. Let's use it, okay? And let's make sure that what we're preaching here is everybody understands. There's some questions going on right now. Number one is who's our leader in this cannabis movement? Right. Okay, who's going to lead us to victory right now? When this thing started, there was one man down in San Francisco in the Castro, and he had a house down there that everybody went to. And more than most of them, I would tell you, had HIV and AIDS. And he figured out that this plant healed them. Didn't get rid of their disease, but it made their life quality so much better. And so it became a medical necessity for these people, straight up, just to fucking eat. So they've translated that into cannabis. Everything. This guy's name is Dennis Perrone, and he started Prop 215. This was the original cannabis legalization endeavor. Dennis has since passed, and he was that leader for us. He got the fucking thing legalized with that. I couldn't believe it at that point. That's something that we're lacking right now. Our leaders are right now paid scrimp change to sit down in D.C. and sit on the corner waiting for somebody to come from lunch so he can grab their ear across the fucking crosswalk and talk to them about this. There they go. And he's going to go stand on the other side. So we got to be really aware here what's going on. You know what I mean? And we also have to be really aware that what they arrested me for, the law hasn't changed.
Right.
Zero change in that law. They could come arrest me today for manufacturing.
Right.
You know, and I hate to say it, but they can come arrest us right now for selling this shit here. This is selling drug paraphernalia. Well, let's be clear. A drug kingpin has more than 1,000 plants.
Right. Yeah.
A drug kingpin, they've been talking about executing possibly. You know what I mean? This has been talking the past 8 years. Let's be real clear that this is illegal on a federal level, and it hasn't been changed yet. And because of that, they still have the power to slap a hippie.
Yep.
Okay, and so which you know, I'm not scared. I'm just aware of it. Okay, let's be clear about that. If they, you know, I don't know. You know, this was designated in the Supreme Court as this is only used for marijuana.
Right. Yeah, it's not art. It's drug paraphernalia. That's the verbiage, right?
Let's also be clear. I was arrested for manufacturing drug paraphernalia, but 2 miles down the street here, I have a permit to manufacture drug paraphernalia written out on my city license.
Wow. Yeah, that must have been a
fucking
real
confusing world, man.
Full circle moment like
Okay.
this. Yeah.
Now, when I got that license, you're not allowed to get that license as a felon. Okay. Detective, whatever his name is, called me up and said, you're a felon, but we want to give you this license to manufacture drug paraphernalia, but your felony is for manufacturing drug paraphernalia.
Wow. Yeah.
He's like, I'm going to make an exception on this one and give it to you. Now, I would go so far as to say I probably got the only license in the city of Las Vegas to manufacture drug paraphernalia.
Wild.
So it's really wild. For me, getting that license was like a big hurrah. I was able to, you know, tell my parents, you know, hey, look, I finally got it.
Right.
But still, it's unnerving that the feds could come in and smack me down at any time.
Yep. No, that's a good point. I mean, because you're right. We are still fighting this fight, even though we are right now in Nevada's first cannabis lounge. We're still doing this. You're right. It is still federally illegal. And at the end of the day, like you said, was the terminology? They can still come in and slap a hippie.
Correct.
That's we're still fighting that fight, and it's cool you have that perspective on it, because I mean, 21 years isn't a small amount of time. We've been fighting this fight for a while, obviously way before that, but we still kind of have a ways to go.
If we look at different models in history, we can look at, for example, alcohol. They have outlawed it in whatever year, and then it took 13 years by the time they re-legalized it for all the states to catch on.
Right.
We started this in, I know for sure, 1996, I had a medical cannabis license from Oregon. And I think it was around those years that we started doing medical cannabis. I might have been Alaska. I don't remember the exact things here. But in that zone till now, we've had a long, hard fight. And we started out with this medical, not veil, but medical breakthrough that allowed people to see that, oh, wow, we're able to, we're going to get hungry if we smoke weed, when we're on chemo. Cool, let's do it. You know Absolutely. What I mean? Then they started to figure out they're going to, there were RSOs and different things like this where it gets a little more intense with healing properties. So I think that, it's just going to take another second. Our prediction for the past, 3 to 4 years has been 2026 national legalization. It's hard to tell now what's going to happen. We know both of these presidents that have been and are in power, and neither one of them really gave it a kick.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what's going to happen now. That's why, in my opinion, we do need a leader, like an aggressive leader, like, somebody who's going to get in their face and really question what the fuck is everybody thinking here? Cut the shit. Legalize it for the thing. Cut the overtaxation and overregulation. God fucking, are you kidding me with all this fucking packaging?
Yeah.
Excessive plastic going out. One-time use vapes.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Is it sustainable or not?
Yeah, 100%.
You know what I mean? Straight up. You know, when I was a kid, there's been times I threw the garbage out of the car window too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But now I've learned that don't sustain itself.
Absolutely.
You know, and so we have to really look at that as humans, especially as the cannabis people that we're doing. We're supposed to be the ones woke. You know, forget the name woke. Yeah. We're the cannabis people. We know better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Over packaging, over taxation, over regulating, all this stuff. We can't let them do that to us.
Yeah.
No, and we should stand up. That's my perspective on this.
Yeah.
No, what's going on right now, right?
I don't disagree with you at all. We need someone to be a voice for the people, for the culture, someone who understands what we're doing here and why we're doing it, and can be an advocate for us. But I feel it too, especially this election cycle.
It will happen.
Yeah.
It will happen. It's like naturally. I mean, you're smoking weed. You're working in this great place. You're around these beautiful people. You must believe in the light.
Absolutely.
And so, you know, you must believe in the light, even just to be part of this society and community and stuff like that. So we have to just project it and just keep supporting its growth.
Absolutely.
Okay, because something will come out of this, and some leader will come out of this that'll pop this into the thing. It could be whatever that weirdo president is going to be next. Who knows?
Yeah.
But he could say, "Rup, rup," you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, he's the guy who did this, and it's going to change the world. Think about it this way. There's a lot of wide stuff going on right now. War, famine, this, that. So now, what's the other side of that? You know, you can't, if you just sit here and focus on CNN or Fox TV all day, you're going to get focused on the negative and start to fall into the zone. Where's the other side of that? Well, it's the cannabis. It's healing properties. Right. Can you imagine if cannabis was legal in Russia? Would we have a different world right now?
Yeah.
And why?
Anywhere.
Because it creates a free thinking thing. It just pushes a bit more of a free thinking question. You know, you question society. It's there's got to be something more to this. And so I believe in my heart that this cannabis plant and this legalization process we're going through is part of a bigger picture of a healing the world picture of this is what's going to help people actually calm the fuck down. You know what I mean? Motivate, take it right. It's not for everyone.
Yeah.
I'm not saying the world needs to smoke weed.
Yeah.
I'm just saying for legalization purposes to let the people be free. And the people are going to be free and use free thinking to direct our whole course right now.
Absolutely. No, it's a beautiful message. Would you say that's one of the things that kind of got you? I mean, obviously you've been an advocate for the plant your entire life. You're one of the legends that's actually like put his money where his mouth is. You've gotten arrested for it. You're still here 21 years later. You're fighting that fight. So would you say that message you just said is what kind of pushed you to actually start the Jerome Baker Cannabis line and kind of break into the actual legal cannabis market?
More, look, in one sense, the reason why has to do with that, yes. But the real reason why is because I'm so back connected with people like the Sour D crew or people like that are old school people that were in this from the beginning that have genetics. Okay, so for me, I wanted to end up, this is the start to me partnering with different vertically integrated processors and dispensaries and grows in different parts of the country. So it's the first V1 is to the network,
right? And
V2 is introducing genetics, and those genetics now we've started a tissue culture lab that we have. I don't even know, X amount right now in this tissue culture lab, and we're doing some breeding. We're having some special stuff made that really kind of bring out like what this whole path that I've just told you about. I can explain that in cannabis,
right? And
so that alone is what we're working on doing, and it's to create common terpene profiles that go across the nation. So you can go to Miami and go to Morton's in Miami and buy the same petite fillet that I'm going to get out here in Vegas. It's going to taste the same. Same with the cannabis. For me, it's about having genetics that I can place into these partner processors to start growing for us that have the terpene profile that is like, whoa, on this thing.
That's the wow factor.
And so, that's where I'm going to put in some of my favorite strains. Okay, and some of the stuff that I've seen throughout my travels around the world that have been, some of the best stuff that I have. So that's why we did the cannabis. It's definitely not to make money. That's for sure. Okay.
There you go.
So we want to have the product out there that goes with our glass. So for me, it's about being like, hey, friend that has the killer grow in New York, and we want to do some growing out there and put our packaging on there. That gets us into the dispensary, and then we can highlight that cannabis with our glass. The glass on the way in the door is a talking point. People can say, hey, that's Jerome Baker glass. Right. And it goes over here with the cannabis. They go together.
Yeah.
Okay, whether it's the dabs, the cannabis, the tips for the joints, whatever it is. And it's all part of the culture. It's all to get you high.
There you go.
Okay,
right.
To help see God.
Hell yeah, man. So full circle moment. And as an artist and as someone who's clearly very, artistic and forward thinking in that regard, let's talk about the artwork and the packaging and things like that. I've seen some of the stuff you've done before, but what were you guys trying to achieve with the packaging and the look you guys are going?
Cool. So yeah, I really enjoy making people think and making people question things. And so for me, putting some of the packaging together has been a lot of fun because we're able to highlight different markets that we're in. This particular packaging for Las Vegas was to create some kind of vintage, sexy vibe that obviously does not appeal to children and has cool coloring and stuff on it. So we wanted something fun. This was a great start for us, and we've just now kind of started to revamp our packaging, and we're going match across the board now with California. So you're going to see some all new stuff coming out, and we work specifically on this new stuff with this incredible artist out of New York, Trice, and he's like the mayor of his little section of Brooklyn. All his artwork all over the buildings. And so we work with a lot of different street artists and then kind of couple things together and then put it on this packaging to get to the masses. And I think that for us, it's like an expression of whatever's in that particular strain on these packages here in Nevada. And then on an overall, my kind of ground floor, my mission when I look at what are we all about when we're doing art for Jerome Baker. So I base it a lot on the reefer madness propaganda that went on in the 20s. And so I have a huge collection of all the different assets of reefer madness. We pick and pull from that, and we might take it and we might say, hey, man, reefer madness meets 1960s Goofy. Okay. Or reefer madness meets Snuffleupagus. I don't fucking know. Yeah. It depends where we're at and what we're doing, and we throw a lot of shit on the table. I have banks and banks of artwork in Dropbox, and so then we will just create until the cows come home, and then and I have all this stuff that I could choose and pick from and stuff, and we kind of do a lot of that. And it's about feeling when we're at. It's the same way when we do the bongs, when we're out sculpting and blowing the bongs all day. If the current events are of war and negativity, we're going to put some bombshells on that shit. We're going to put some weird gore and cut them up stuff on there. You know what I mean? Absolutely. If it's floating rainbows and daisies, we're going to be putting that on there for that day.
Oh yeah, man.
So we kind of flow with the vibe, and there's so much to look at, so much to choose from, and that again, check out the website when you can, thejeromebaker.com. It's got a big story on there about who we are, what we are. I have a lot of different videos on YouTube. I got a channel on YouTube that has these expressions of creation. So me creating a real beautiful bong. For me, looking over here, I see the giant orange one and the giant green one. And those pieces remind me of that time I had with that team when we made that special creation. It's a lot different of a viewpoint of a fan or a client coming up to look at the piece. That's this beautiful green bong.
Absolutely.
It shines like this.
Yeah.
So for me, it's about creation and capturing that creation and putting it onto YouTube. Has been really important for me because the piece of glass that we made is gone, sold. It might have broke. They never took a picture of it, whatever it was.
It's gone, but that moment's forever, right?
But the moment's forever, and if I don't capture it, then it's only in my mind's eye.
There it is. Right on. So, you touched on it a little bit. Let's talk about the team that you've got working for you with Jerome Baker Cannabis. You know what I mean? How's that process been for you?
Yeah, well, I feel like for us, we have the best team in Nevada. I have Kat, who's the sales head on the cannabis side of it, and she just knows so much about the plant. has a lot of respect for it, and then also knows so much about the Las Vegas industry here and people that matter, and how to capture the sales, how to make sure we have sell through, and now developing different new genetics that are going to go into these cans.
Right on, man. So we talked a little bit about the long-term plan of trying to go multi-state, you know what I mean, bring these new terps, but what other long-term plans do you have for Jerome Baker, the cannabis line, the bong line?
Yeah.
What else do you see coming down the pipeline?
Yeah. So, the big thing that at least I'm working on right now is making art. And so it's about leveling up, doing some different projects. The biggest project that I'm working on right now is we're working on a chandelier.
Oh, wow.
We're going to bring a team of people over to Murano, Italy, where we're going to work with, ancient masters of glass blowing, and we're going to create some really beautiful large-scale chandelier. And we're going to take that piece, and of course we're going to sell it, but we're also going to make it in the metaverse, and so people can have an opportunity to kind of experience it in a different way, whether it be they come with us to Italy and sit on the sidelines and watch us make this while they drink wine and eat the best fucking pasta in the world on a small little island just off the coast of Venice called Murano. And knowing that Murano, again, that's our mecca. It's where the greatest masters of glass blowing in the world are. Some multi generations, and they've been put there to keep the secrets there. So we'll go over there and work with those guys. We'll bring a team of people with us. We'll also bring some collectors and people that are involved in the investment of this thing.
100%.
So we're really excited about that. We're also doing new project where we have we're working on a movie right now.
Wow. Okay.
And so that's pretty incredible, and that's a pretty cool way to tell this story and tell it in a way that is magical.
Absolutely. And will live forever, right?
It'll live forever,
Cool.
yeah. And the biggest thing right now we have going on is we have the Las Vegas Dream Factory. It's right up the street from here, and we create every day in there. And there's always new projects, always people stopping by with, whatever crazy story they have about they want to get their bong, or we had somebody show up the other day, a guy and his kid, and he wanted to buy his kid his bong for his 18th birthday. So it's just,
cool.
it just
awesome.
goes and goes and goes. So, it's like, I don't know. It just goes a long way, man. There's so much going on all the time, and things are always moving and flowing. The biggest project we have coming in the nearest future is this Grateful Dead residency. That's going to be here in Las Vegas for 3 months. We have 20-something shows going on. So to honor that, we're probably going to do something down here at NuWu. And we're talking to you guys about that. I'm looking forward to setting up some sort of, we do all the official Grateful Dead glass.
Oh, wow.
So we do the licensing for that, and we've had a great run for the past few months with this, and just super excited about that. And that's going to be presented here. We should have a good time with this, man.
Hell yeah, dude. Well, we are getting to the point where we need to start opening up this lounge. So to the point of what you just made, if there is a young glassblower watching this podcast who wants to go down a similar path,
Right.
What would be your advice for the next generation?
Yeah. So, I would say definitely if you want to do something, you got to do it. You got to try it. And then
Right.
you can always be like, I didn't like it, I'm going to try something else. There's no harm in that. There's more harm in not trying it. You're fucked.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
And so if you really want to, once you start it, or if you really want to do it, what I would recommend doing, the easiest path to glory for you is going to be look up glass blowing, the word glass blowing in your area, one word. Find out who's doing it in your area, and then go visit them, go sit at their shop. And I always tell everybody, sweep the floor, wipe some things down when you're in there, make it look like you really like this. Janitor is first, glass blower second. So get in there and show them that you really, wow, this is cool. And then if you're cleaning up and doing something, you're going to be able to learn a little bit and find out your next point of light from there.
Absolutely. Surround yourself with the people who are doing what you want to do, right?
Yeah, it's a respect thing. And this is an ancient art, and there's a way to get involved in it that's the right way. There's many ways to do it.
100%.
There's one right way.
Yeah. You get in on the ground floor.
Yeah.
Beautiful message, man. Jason, appreciate your time. Thanks for coming on the podcast. Let the people know where they can find you.
You can find us at jeromebaker.com, and just know that particular that IP address was confiscated by the federal government from me. And later on in life, I was able to get it on an auction for $700. So go to jeromebaker.com, check out the website for sure, and check us out on Instagram, Jerome_Baker. I do a lot of work on Insta Daily just to kind of let you see the what's actually going on here. This is like so cool, the lifestyle and the whole thing that's come with blowing the glass bongs for people.
Hell yeah, man. Beautiful message. Well, hey, I want to thank everyone for watching. Make sure, again, you hit subscribe, comment, share this with your friends, engage with us on all the social media profiles. We appreciate you guys watching. Welcome to the new and improved NuWu Sessions. Can't wait to have you guys back for a new one. Take it easy.
Aloha.
Let's get it. You ready for a dab?
I'll try a dab.
No pressure, but if you want to, you know what I mean?
I'll do a dab.
We were supposed to do it, but I kind of forgot. I think we were just having great conversations and smoking a lot of weed. Right?
So we're cut? We're done?
We're done, dude.
All right, good job, guys.
Oh, wait, hold up. This thing's on? Oh, what's up? Hey guys, hit that subscribe button and the little bell next to it. That's the one. Yeah. You always want to see the new stuff. Let's get back to it, eh?